This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it's time for Heart Mojo with Melinda Smith. And welcome, Melinda.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
You have an interesting guest for us today.
I do. I'm very excited about this. So, hi, Monica. It's Bassett, right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes. Hi, Melinda.
It's good to actually see you. We see each other on Facebook, which is how we met via a mutual friend. We were trying to figure this out the other day. How did you actually become friends?
Right.
We had a mutual friend, and she is somebody who was from the United States, but you live in Paris, right?
Yes. I've been here for 25 years.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So I'm French, actually.
Are you?
I'm naturalized French. So.
Okay.
So my husband is French, and my two kids are French and American, and so typical expat kind of situation. And so this is home for me now.
So tell us a little bit how you ended up in Paris. Why did you go to Paris? Were you from Illinois originally? Is that correct?
Yes, Chicago. And well, it's kind of a funny story because my mother was a French speaker, and I was the worst of my class speaking French. And so I thought at university, I thought I'm not going to take any French classes because I am terrible. So I graduated, and my mom said, how about for your graduation, we go to France and we'll visit, she had a correspondent named Simone in Marseille. And so I said, sure, great. So the two of us took off, and I drove stick shift because I loved that. And that's what kind of cars, a lot of the cars are stick shift. And she spoke. And the more I, enjoyed the vacation, I thought that was so stupid. Why didn't I pursue French? Why didn't I, pay more attention, etc. And so I started working, and kind of funny, like 2 years after I started working, I had dreams to go to France. And so I thought, okay, that's really crazy. But I decided, I think I'm going to go to France. And my mother was like, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. So I put I had saved up money, and I thought I could take classes at the Alliance Française, which is what I did. Actually, I went with a friend who ended up leaving after, I don't know, she left about 6 months later. And I took classes at the Alliance Française, and I was since I was paying this time, I was a really good student. And obviously, when you live in a country and you have to go and buy the baguette and speak, etc., you learn the language a lot easier than if you go, and you're learning it from a textbook. So, after about it was about 8 months here, I met my husband. The American Church in Paris is a Franco-American center, which means that there's a lot of activities that are not really related specifically to religion, but just a social thing. And so it was a young adult pizza night that I went to quite a bit, and he was there it was his birthday on that day, and he met me, and I knew a lot of people, but he took my number. Long story short, he took my number. We ended up dating, and then I moved back to the U.S. and then 4 years later, we had a long distance relationship. And 4 years later, I ended up moving back here, and we got married, which is kind of, in retrospect, if my daughter told me that story, I would be like, honey, just live with him. But at the time, being raised Catholic and all the baggage that goes along with that, I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna get married to this guy. And we sort of knew each other, but it's been 25 years, and we've had our ups and downs, but it's we're actually extremely compatible. So curiously enough.
Interesting.
So you never know.
Years. Yeah.
You never know, but you know what? I kind of, after after it all, I kind of think that no matter who you end up marrying, whether it's somebody from a foreign, another country, a culture, you're gonna have differences. You're gonna have, in this case, cultural differences. Raising multicultural kids. There's a lot of issues around that. How you spend money, but you're gonna run into a lot of the same issues. So
Well, I think we all face challenges. That's actually how this show even started, was getting through life's challenge. And that is an interesting challenge. I don't think we've had anybody talk about what you've done. I mean, you moved to another country, you came back, you married somebody in another country. So you've presented a good, different type of challenge that had a great outcome, right?
Yeah. But I think, it's just, I think I think there's luck, there's synchronicity, there's a lot of things that are in play there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think long story short, no matter who whatever relationship you have, whether it's a marriage or brother, sister, or children, parent, you're going to have to work on it. It really is, the other person is the mirror to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not like what you see and there might be difficulties there, but it's been an amazing experience for me, just because I'm just not the same person
Mm-hmm.
that I would have been if I had stayed in the States.
Right.
And my life would have been, I'm sure, very rich too, but it's just a different, I kind of threw myself headlong into this, and then I was like, okay, I need to make this work. So.
Well, you were meant to be there.
Yeah, I think,
that.
With my mom speaking French and then me speaking French, and then, raising two kids who are now 20 and 22, who, I just, who love speaking English, but, love their French culture as well. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
So you're in Paris, and so the big question, I'm sure somebody who's watching this is going, okay, we have COVID here, you have COVID there, you're talking about working your relationship, and we know that COVID has been hard on relationships everywhere in the world because you're stuck together all the time in the house. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in Paris right now and how that's affected you?
Sure. Well, we are in lockdown right now. This is the second lockdown. We had 6 weeks back in March, and then kind of out of the blue, I was not expecting it. Just right before, so last Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
they said, we're gonna, everything's locked down. And so we are living outside of Paris. So it's like we have the metro here, 40-minute metro ride to like the Eiffel Tower or Champs-Élysées for people that know, Paris. So, starting Friday, we were locked down. So I drove to get my son's things at his apartment and brought him back here. And actually the big difference here is that the woods, which are just, we have the woods 2 blocks away, and I do go there a lot. I run or I bike or something like that, even though you're not supposed to bike more than a kilometer. But it was locked down. It was shut down, closed back in March, whereas it's open now. So that's a huge difference. So the 4 of us are here. We do have a lot of space just because I have my studio attached to the house, which is where I'm a painter, I'm an artist. So I spend a lot of time there, and I'm kind of I call myself a hermit, even though I have like the introverted and extroverted side, but I love, that part doesn't change for me because of the lockdown, because that's where I go anyway to do my work. And so my husband is doing télétravail, how do you say that? Working from, doing a lot of Zoom from his
home.
office. And my kids, my daughter is taking classes at the university on Zoom as well. And my son, he just finished. And he's working on some creative work that he's working on right now. So I can't say, we kind of all have our spaces. So it's really, I'm very grateful that for us, it's okay. It really is okay. I know, but I know how some people really, really have suffered from the very small quarters that they've had to stay in.
So is your lockdown like the restaurants are closed, it's takeout only, you can only go grocery shopping if you need to? Is that what they have?
Yeah, basically you're supposed to leave, you can do an hour of sport a day. You can do, an hour to get groceries or things like that. You have to write we call it an attestation, where you say, who you are and where you live and what you're doing. And you have to have that on you. And so if you're stopped by the police, you have to show it.
Wow.
Which is pretty,
So
you feel like you're a kid back in school, you need a pass,
yeah.
a school, a hall pass. So that's kind of weird. I've never been stopped though. So yeah, again, we're in the suburbs, so it's people. I know the police station is just a minute away, because we live on the main street here. So I kind of we know people. I know the police that would tend to stop me if they would, ask me what I was doing. So they're pretty. I think they're pretty. I think it's sort of an easy situation for us. But yeah, you're only that everything else is closed. And
it's so funny because we don't have, when people had a lockdown here, okay, we could go to the grocery store if we needed to, but there was no checking. There's no checking, no notes, no nothing. It's like, we expect you to stay home. A lot of people did and a lot of people didn't. But
which is probably why there's such a huge
spike.
Uptick,
yes.
Right?
Well, it's funny because I don't think anybody here, you can correct me, Karen, but I can't imagine, they're complaining about wearing a mask, let alone having a note to drive anywhere.
Well, and
I can't even imagine.
And people complained when we had the lockdown. It was like, well, you're not letting me make a living, or you're not letting me do certain things. And I don't think we got a good enough explanation here. Nobody really oversaw what was going on. The governor would come on once a day, he'd give a report, and he'd make these suggestions, and half the people said, yeah, I'm going to follow it. Others say no. I work on the weekends in a retail establishment, and signs all over, you have to wear a mask. People walk in with the mask and then rip it off. And it's like, there's a reason why you're supposed to have it on, and nobody wants to confront people about it. So
each state is individual, right? So that makes a huge difference too. It's not a federal mandate here. Right. It's just a state to state, and sometimes within the state, the county. So it sounds like what you have is kind of, this is the way the country's doing this versus by county or area. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes. They basically said that you cannot drive out of your zone into another region of France. So we couldn't, unless you have authority, unless you have a paper that says, why you have to do that, whether it's for work or if you're moving or something like that. But it's pretty, I think people really do take it seriously, and the mask wearing. I went right before the lockdown. I went to Paris for an exhibition with my daughter, and everybody was wearing their mask, on the metro. And I'll take it off obviously if I'm in the woods, if I'm exercising, or if I'm walking down the street. It's not like, if I'm outside in the air, I tend to not be, not have it on as securely. But if I'm going into a grocery store, yeah, I'm gonna do it, because I'm not really concerned for me as much as I, would be that somebody else,
Right.
find
Get
that
sick.
offensive. So yeah. I think people do take it seriously here. Again, they didn't, like right after, in August after vacation, I think people got kind of lax and people got together, which is why we started having, we had to have this next lockdown. That being said, this is flu season now, and I've heard reports in France that whenever flu season starts, you're going to have a lot of cases of flu, of people in the hospital, and so they're gonna miss beds already because of the flu, and then you add COVID, and I think they just thought, it's too much.
Well, the same precautions for COVID are the same precautions for the flu. Wash your hands, and
Sure.
I work in an assisted living facility in a community. So it's just part of what we would have done every day anyway. So it's just one more thing, except that we have to wear the mask all day, every day when we're in there. That's the difference. But washing your hands,
Yeah.
keeping things clean, that's what we
Right.
would do for the flu as well. You would do that all the time.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I think it's interesting that one of the things I find interesting is looking at other countries and their response versus the United States response. It's kind of like, it sounds from your perspective, we're all in this together. We're gonna do this lockdown again, and hopefully, we'll nip it so it doesn't get worse. We don't have that.
Right. Well, and this could be, people are even talking about this lockdown going through
The holidays.
Through the holidays, because think about it. We all know that when you have Christmas parties and you have New Year's Day parties, everyone's kissing and hugging and drinking and staying out late, and immune system is down, and so people tend to already get sick as it is during the holidays. So I'm thinking this might be kind of a rough, it might be long, but at the same time, I have a meditation practice, my sport, I exercise. This lockdown is easier than the last time because
You've done it.
we did it, and then they opened the woods up. So, and it's not as intense as it was before.
I think it's because you've done it. And like when we first started wearing the mask, it was irritating. And yes, I still think there's mask fatigue, but it's like, okay, I got to put my mask on. Okay, I'm going to go do that. I do the same thing you do. If I go out for a walk, I actually carry it with me, because if there's a lot of people on the trail, I'm going to put it back on, or as I see them coming. But then I have it off, and that's something that's manageable if people do it. It's just a matter of doing it. So how has this affected your art? Because is that your artwork behind you?
It is. There's two pieces behind me. How has it affected my art? Well, actually, I have to say that I'm very inspired right now. I don't necessarily, I would say is it really COVID? Is it just I'm in a good place right now? And it doesn't, I'm not, I guess I'm not that worried. I'm really not worried about catching COVID. If I caught it, I just assume that, it seems like it's shifting, like the strains, it's not as deadly as it was back in March as well. And a lot of people I know have got, well, not a lot, but a handful of people I know have gotten it, and they've had different effects, so side effects and things. So I'm just extremely inspired, very grateful. It's also, that's a good question as far as a segue into this project that I'm working on with a group of people that my husband kind of started. I guess the reason why I'm not that concerned is that we have, besides my art, another project that we're working on, which is a non-for-profit organization called 06 Planet. And it is, we're creating eco villages villages in France, in Europe, in Africa. It just started. And actually I'm moving whenever whenever the lockdown ends, to the first site that we're buying with a group of people, and that's really exciting. And so I think when you have projects that you're looking forward to, it really makes you don't think so much about you're kind of looking into the future. And so you're seeing a brighter future, you're seeing changes, you're seeing alternative lifestyle. And so that's really exciting. So
It helps you get through the challenge of all this craziness.
Yeah.
Don't you believe that people that have been through the lockdown and have taken it seriously have taken the time to find their inner self and start working on projects that make them feel good? Whereas prior to the pandemic, we were just running in circles.
All the time.
You know, my husband used to say that I never took 5 minutes to myself. I now take 5 minutes a day. But when I do, I make a big effort to enjoy my walk outside, or riding the stationary bike, or exercising, or meditating. Whereas before, I didn't take that time because I felt everybody expected me to be on the go just like they were. So in some ways, it's done us a lot of good.
Oh, absolutely. I think the project that we're working on involves an alternative lifestyle because of global warming and the effects that that's going to have on us in the future, and the idea that we as French or European, we live on. I don't know if tell me if you've heard this before. We live using the resources of 3 planets. The US uses the resources of 5 planets, and like Qatar is using 13. Okay, so that's like, wow. Have you and so the idea of 06 planet is the idea we have to, if we want to be sustainable in the future, we have to live on less than 1 planet so that we leave room for the plant and animal life and regenerate the soil and things like that. So yeah, that what you're saying about kind of slowing down, meditating, taking time, eating really well, being closer to nature, being in nature more. That's all part of what this project is, is going to it's going to lend itself to hopefully a better lifestyle for us, and with those activities that go along with it. So growing our own food, etc. So
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So it's self-sustaining area, right?
And the idea behind that, since there's a lot of people on the team, including my husband, that are scientists, and creating innovative ways to use our resources better, so that we use less energy for whatever we do. That's the kind of the idea. So that's so exciting, and it just is really in alignment with who I am and who we are, and where we think that it's important to go in the future. That feels really good. And so yes, it makes this part of it really doable. And curiously enough, so many people that know of the project are calling us, and we're doing Zoom conferences with them because they're more interested, because they realize that this idea of pandemic, lockdown, climate change, etc., may continue in the future. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
In any case, it's made our project even more interesting to people because they realize that they need to make some changes. So,
I mean, that's wonderful. My sister-in-law got me into composting. And even though I can't have an actual composter in my yard, I compost whatever I can, and then I sprinkle it amongst my plants. And then I started offering it to my neighbors. And now I have 2 neighbors who are doing the exact same thing. And I will tell you, I feel great when I go out and I sprinkle my coffee and my tea grounds, out amongst my plants. It's like one thing that I can do for the earth. So
sure, it's one step in the right direction.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So did you ever think, if you look back at your life and all the different things that you've gone through, that this is where you would be starting these eco villages, right? I mean, who would have guessed that?
Yeah, no, I would never have thought. I mean, I kind of saw myself living in Paris, for the rest of my life. But and I think that's that's where I've been kind of working on surrender for the last 5 years. At one point in my life, I thought I'm getting way too upset about the little things in life that are so insignificant. And I thought I need to learn to surrender to whatever is, what is. And I was given some opportunities to learn how to surrender. When you ask and it shall be given. And so I think I'm at a really interesting place in my life whereby I don't let the little stuff affect me, and I just try to find contentment in the now, and accept things that I can't change, right?
So
Right.
how does a scientist and an artist really come together? Because you live, I would say, in your head, imagination, and that's your creativity. And he's all about finding the facts and putting them together.
Well, yes and no, because actually in his perfect world, he would be an artist too.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
he says to me that art is as closest to God as you get, because you get to create. And so you're in that creativity, that divine creativity mode. And he actually is an artist too. He's a scientist, but I mean, he really has amazing capacity to do so many things. So yeah, we actually did a lot of art together a few years ago, because he was using tire tracks to do paintings and sculptures. And the idea is, what are the traces we're leaving on the planet? And so so he's really artistic. And so that's where he really appreciates what I do and what we do together. And then both my kids they're pretty much artists too. So we kind of are all super sensitive people, and we all take up a lot of space, but
What kind of scientist?
he did a doctorate in actually in neural networks, computer science, and now he's in charge of a master's degree in innovation and technology management.
Oh, that sounds brilliant. Well, that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah, well, he has just he's just so passionate about what he's doing right now. So it's a really good place when your husband is super happy about what he's doing.
Yeah.
I can tell you, it makes life a lot easier. Whether, if I'm painting till midnight, it doesn't matter, because he's so happy with what, his life and our life. And so,
So you're going to continue painting in the new location?
Oh yeah.
How do you
In
think
fact,
that's going to change for you?
pardon me?
How do you think that'll change for you? Going there, I mean, you're closer to a city. I'm assuming that you sell your work, right?
Yeah. I'm in a couple galleries, and then we actually we have a gallery here that because we're on the main street, so I have a gallery here in the front of the house as well.
Mm-hmm.
And how will it change? You know how it's going to change? I'm going to have to learn how to use, how to paint with more natural paint. I do a lot of acrylics and dye and some oils and things. And I'm going to start to really investigate how to use more natural pigment, because that is, that's really, again, using less, we need to use less energy and use less natural resources. So we need to go towards more natural pigment. And actually, I did one day, I was juicing because I'm a juicer, and I did like, I did a beet juice and carrot juice and green juice. And I did watercolors with the juice, just kind of for fun. And that was kind of an interesting experiment.
But it's got any of that on Facebook? Did you put that out there on Facebook?
I did.
It seemed like I remembered that.
It's it's a picture. The one that I put on there was, it was a woman, a face of a woman with her hair, and yeah, it was fun. It worked. It turned out. But again, it's not obviously the same, density as the acrylics that I use now. So it's gonna change, but it'll all, in time. I think it'll all. It's all going to be fun. And I think that the hardest part when you want to do this kind of thing, start an eco village, is the governance, is how do you get along with other people? Because, planting food, growing tomatoes or growing whatever, we're going to have 4 people that are doing permaculture, and then everybody is going to have their own garden. And, that kind of thing, we're going to manage. We're going to manage the physical living part. But how are we going to manage if I say something that hurts somebody, or somebody says something that hurts me? And how can I be authentic and honest and set my boundaries and not be a people pleaser, because that's been one of my, approval seeker, people pleaser issues. My whole life. So I'm working on, always working on, becoming more true to myself and being honest with the other person. But we are putting in place, groups of a group of people that is working on rules for the community and governance and things like that. But I'm definitely going to do workshops with my art, and we're going to have ceramics and glass. And
so is it kind of co-op-y, like, you're putting in this piece, you're putting in this piece, you share? Do you purchase things from each other? Because you still need to function within the regular existence to get items
right
in.
Well, because there's the people that are starting, like the core group that's going in on the project with us to buy this it's a horse farm, actually. She was raising horses, the woman that's selling it. It's 123 acres, a lot of woods. Right now it's got so we're going to have, like the main house, which is like, it's a big building that's like 3 different living spaces. So it'd be like 3 houses together. And then there's 2 chalets on the pond, and then another little house. That main building is going to be a common space. And then people we're all working together, and people do have their jobs that they're either still working, retired, or they're kind of transitioning to do work like our permaculture. He was an engineer, and then he started deciding that he was interested, he got laid off. And so in France, you get about 3 or 4 years to kind of transition. And so he started taking classes in learning how to do permaculture. So that's how he's going to earn his living. And we're going to have a lot, and the idea here is in the area where we're going to live, we will be also interacting with the towns and sell, you know, I mean, yeah, selling and working and finding and creating jobs and yeah, so we're still going to be, you know, we still obviously have to earn money and
Right.
live.
So is the
And
government going to look at you as this new town? Like
oh no, we are in the town. No, we're
in the
just
town?
we're in the town, and there we have what is it, about for now we have 4 acres of space that we can build eco housing, let's say ecological housing. So we're looking into we're working with actually architects that are used to using certain material that is like eco-friendly, if you will. So but you know, we're kind of creating it as we go.
I was
because
thinking that,
the
yeah.
very first one. So as we move forward and we start, you know, actually we're living there and we can actually see the problems and the solutions, you know. So we haven't really done a lot of communication as far as wanting to find, you know, people as of yet, just because I said to my husband that I kind of don't feel legitimate until I'm actually living there, I'm actually working and seeing how things kind of unfold, so that I can be more legitimate and honest about how, you know, what we need and how this is going to go. But
See,
it's exciting.
I think you'll be good at it because you already did that once before. You took a leap, you changed your whole life, you left the United States, you went there, and so now you're just taking another step and doing it again, right?
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, I'm really excited because actually the woman that's selling the house, raising horses, she's only going to be about 15 minutes away, and we've become friends. And I said, hey, I want to go on. Her love obviously is taking like a 3 or 5 day trip on horses and just exploring the area. And I said, I would love to do that. So I definitely, oh, and this is funny. I don't even know if you've ever heard of this, because I had never heard of this. Animal traction. Have you ever heard of that? Animal traction. It's like what the Amish do. When they use horses, they don't have tractors. So you're not, you know, you use horses to pull logs or to work the soil. And so my husband, like there were 5 of us that did a 3-day class this summer in animal traction. And and at first I thought, ooh, that's going to be a stretch for me. But I absolutely loved it. I loved the connection with the animals because we used horses and mules and donkeys to do this work. I mean, it's a lot of work because you just have to be really in connection with the animal, because the animal's not going to do something for you if you don't connect with it. I mean, it's kind of amazing. But I actually loved it, and I said that we'll definitely have to do that. So then again, that would mean that we're going to have I don't know if we're going to have a tractor. We probably will have some sort of motorized something, but we're going to try to do without as much as, you know, do without that kind of thing as much as we can. So it's kind of fun, and it's not, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be harder than I thought, but you know, what isn't, right?
Right.
Didn't Mark Twain say something like, if you knew how hard it would be, you would never do it,
Right.
or something?
Yeah.
That idea? Yeah.
So I have a question. You mentioned something about in France, if you transition your job, the government supports you?
Well, in this particular case, Philippe, our friend who's doing the permaculture, he got laid off. from his job.
Okay.
And so if you get, or get fired, not fired, but, if you, lose your job,
Right.
then they're going to support you for a few years, like unemployment would, I suppose, in the US, right? I don't know the rules
for 2
exactly,
years.
but
No, I think it's
6 months.
like 6 months. Yeah.
6 months.
okay, well, no, I think it's 3 years. I think it's
Wow.
3 years. Yeah. So, yeah, but in France, I have to say that in France, there is a lot more, help in the, if you're unemployed or if you need, but we pay more taxes too. So,
Right.
I mean,
Not a bad
healthcare
thing.
is like fantastic. Well, I say that, I mean, it's fantastic for, let's say it's fantastic for if you need stitches or something, or you hurt your, you break your leg or something. But I mean, I would say chronic illness, it's the same big pharma kind of situation.
So that leads me to that question. You have the big pharma stuff, but if you're going into this eco-friendly lifestyle, are you also looking at alternative types of care or medications or things like that?
Oh yeah, we have a team of people that is working on medicinal plants right now, and I'm a big and we plan on we plan on using all the plants and things that are growing, and obviously the farming is going to be what is it? Bio, how do you say that in French, in English? Or organic, yeah.
Organic, yeah.
And we're going to be, we like right now in France, there's, it's the time of year people actually go and they find mushrooms in the woods. And so, but you obviously have to know which mushrooms you're picking because they can be poisonous.
Right.
So, but when we went out running the other day, we saw a guy, he had a huge basket full of mushrooms. And so obviously where we're going, we know that there's gonna be tons of mushrooms. There's chestnuts, and you can make obviously flour from that. Chestnuts are extremely nutritive. So we're gonna be doing our own oil. And I mean, it's gonna be an interesting experience. But yeah, I'm really, as it is, I love ginger and turmeric and onions and garlic and avocado. Well, I don't know. See, the avocados, we're gonna have to figure out how we can grow avocados, or if we can. So there might be things that I can't really, if I really want to go, all in, there might be things I won't be eating anymore. But I don't look at it as, I guess I look at it as just, it's an experiment. It's an experiment. It's not something that I do that I have to do without or suffer or something. It's like, oh, this is super cool. I want to see how this is gonna work, how it can work. Yeah.
So is this just going to be you and your husband, or your children doing this with you?
My kids are staying in Paris because they, my daughter's still going to school, and no, they're not coming out with us. They'll come on. They absolutely love the place. They'll come on weekends or whatever. Well, that's maybe the one little thing that will be a little bit more difficult for me, is not seeing them as much as I do now.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be a little bit,
Challenging.
Bittersweet, yeah. But at the end of the day, they're so excited for us because they see how excited we are to do it, and all the people that we're meeting, and just there's so much energy around it. It's really something in France that a lot of people are waking up to, about just being a little bit more resilient, and not necessarily the idea of yeah, eating, you know, when it comes to eating and living and just kind of looking at their lifestyle right now and what's going on in the world today and kind of asking the question. And like you were saying, Karen, the COVID, this has been a really big wake up call for a lot of people to kind of step back and say, am I really happy with my lifestyle today? And can I make those changes, or what changes can I make that would be more in alignment with who I am, with how I see myself in the future, how I want to, you know, how can I be, I think, you know, how can I be of inspiration to someone else? How can someone else inspire me? I think we're all kind of here to do that. And Melinda, that's kind of why you started this podcast,
right?
Is how can we inspire each other? I think that's what we're here, you know, on this planet to do, is inspire each other to give each other ideas. So,
well, you inspired me. That's why I contacted you to come on. First of all, your artwork is beautiful. So I encourage people, if they haven't ever looked you up, to do that, to see what you do. And it's very varied. So I think, you know, it's whatever hits you that day, right? Sometimes you have.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've kind of gotten lately just trying everything to kind of rediscover where my, you know, that authentic voice is going to land. So I've been trying like really very, very varied in different things, because for a while I was doing either abstract trees or abstracts. That was kind of and then all of a sudden I just kind of started getting inspired to do all sorts of things. So yeah, so I'm really in a searching, I kind of feel like I'm searching right now, and I'll land on something that's kind of my authenticity of today. Yeah.
I never, so one of the things that was very intriguing is she did this picture of something that was kind of skeletal in nature. Do you remember, you know, the one I'm talking about? And everybody was coming up with a name.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
What did you end up calling it?
Oh, well, that was well, originally it's actually the Joker.
Right.
It's kind of it's a skull, because, you know, in France, it's we call skulls in French vanité. It's the idea that vanity, that we live and we die, and we're
Right.
all going to die at some point. So actually in art, it's a theme that, I mean, it's kind of still lifes. You see still life from way back, and they always have skulls. Even like Georgia O'Keeffe, she did a lot of skulls in her work. And I went to an exhibition where everything was skulls. So I think and yeah, along with my surrender, my idea of I need to live and surrender. It's the idea of I have to give up fear of death, fear of, you know, and I believe that, you know, we have well, if you look at somebody like Anita Morgiani. I don't know if you are familiar with her, Melinda?
I don't think so.
Okay, she had an incredible near-death experience, and I actually saw her speak in Paris along with Marianne Williamson.
Oh, now I've seen Marianne Williamson in person before.
Yeah. So anyway, so the skull thing is kind of it's a typical French still life kind of.
So
object.
it ended up to be called the Joker?
Yeah, I did.
Well, they were the most creative names, Karen. You had to have seen it.
Yeah.
And you can tell the people who were into politics. There were a lot of very interesting names that came from that, and COVID.
Yeah. Yes.
But it was a lot of fun. I just didn't ever see, you know how you join in, and I did, and you answered everybody, which is amazing because you had a lot of people there that responded. But it was intriguing and interesting and fun. It was a fun thing to do with social media to see what people
Yes,
thought of it.
yes. I enjoy people's feedback, and sometimes, I mean, a lot of times, I'm amazed at some of the things that people will see that I didn't see, and then I think, wow, that is so cool, or a name or something, and I love it. I love that interaction.
Do you market your artwork in the United States too, or is it all in Paris, in your area?
Oh,
You sell here in
I
galleries?
Actually, I actually had a gallery in Key West that ended up going bankrupt, and so I ended up yeah. So right now I've showed my work in Chicago a little bit, but I don't have anything ongoing right now. I
Is
do
everything
like
always original, or have you done prints? Have you done things like that to put out?
it's all original. Yeah.
I'm one of those people that I look at her things and go, geez, I really would like to have that. I wonder if there's something around to get that. To be shipping it from Paris. Though I'd much rather come there and actually look at it in person. And then
Yes, well.
it's been many, many years, but we won't be traveling out of our country right now.
Yeah, it's not looking real good as far as travel for right now. Yeah,
Someday.
Yeah.
Someday when
well,
you're in your village, I'll be able to come and actually visit the village.
yeah.
It's funny, the person that actually brought us together, it was Stephanie, wasn't it Stephanie?
Yes, Stephanie.
Yes. And she was in Eco Watch for years and years, and I was on one of the committees.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
That's so neat.
My oldest son and her daughter were in preschool together.
Interesting.
And my
no
son
kidding.
loved her daughter, literally loved her daughter. And, she was 3 going on 4, and she decided she'd rather have female friends than boy friends, and broke my son's heart.
Aw.
Broke his heart.
Oh.
So,
Okay, but so who was Stephanie living in Cleveland?
Cleveland. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and then we did, the one that we did had Jacques Cousteau's grandson was our speaker. Can't remember, what's his first name? You know, right? No?
Oh,
The
yeah,
grandson?
Jacques Cousteau's
Philippe?
grandson.
No, Philippe is his son.
Oh,
But he lives like in Washington or something like that, and he does not
okay.
believe in any cars. He does transportation that's whatever's in the city. But
Right.
anyhow, it was great. And I had a picture of my son and her daughter, many years later with him, because, she broke his heart. So, but anyhow, that's how we became friends, and we stayed friends then, and that's how we met each other.
Okay. Oh, great.
It
It's a
is
small world. You never know.
I
Today
know.
proves how small our world really is.
I know. Well, I remember talking to her, about, because I wanted to I was signed up for a Joe Dispenza workshop in Spain, and it was supposed to be last March. And then obviously it got canceled. It was supposed to be now, and then it got canceled.
Got canceled again.
Till next May 2021. So
Well, we can only hope that we are out doing things in spring. Every day I face that with what I do. Every day it changes working with the senior population. You just don't know. So
yeah.
I can only hope. Well, I really, really appreciate you being on the show, staying up. We tried to make it a little earlier for you.
Oh yeah, well it's fine. It's only 10:30 now, so that's definitely
better
perfect.
than 12:30, which is
that's better than 12:30. That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on, talking about that. You covered a lot of different life challenges for people moving to another country, building a relationship there. Now you're moving again, and you're doing something super important. I think really important to the world, to take a step back and see how we can protect our earth a little longer.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so. I think so. I'm excited about it. It's an exciting project. So.
Well, I want to have you back when you move, and we'll see, because you have to have Zoom somehow while you're there, right? You are going to.
Yeah, we're going to have to manage that somehow.
Because you still have to stay out and keep up with the world.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. For sure.
So
It's a
I'd
great
love to
way
have you
to
back
connect.
to talk about it. Maybe your husband can be on and put his view in as well.
Sure.
So
Sounds wonderful.
thank you,
Great.
Monica. Appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you
Merci
so much,
beaucoup.
Melinda and Karen.
Thank you. And safe travels.
Yep,
Thank you.
We'll talk to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.